The shared laptop that exposed my wife's $500,000 secret business. She built a company to steal my clients and my work. I built a case that killed her launch in 12 minutes. $500,000 frozen, audit triggered, laptop surrendered, and she walked out without a company. Buckle up. I didn't get lucky. I made this happen. Let me paint you a picture. A shared laptop just for email. A sync pop-up that sang like a guilty dog, my exact playbook copied, and a canary clause that proved it. But wait, it gets worse. Or better, depending on your seat. Investors pulled the plug, and I didn't raise my voice once. The accident that wasn't. Her excuse was harmless. Mine's at the repair shop for a week. I'll just use the shared one for email. Sure, and I'm the Pope. Cool. I keep my invoices on my desktop, neat little rows like soldiers, and last Monday 2 PDFs were missing. Not gone, just not where I left them. My system doesn't lose things. I lose socks, not invoices. So I open the shared laptop to check the backup. The second it wakes up, the sync app blinks to life like a guilty dog. Fitting. Files flood the screen. Deleted folders rising from the dead. A new directory flashes. Company. My flagship client's initials, nested inside a fresh LLC name I don't recognize. I don't click yet. I breathe. I'm not a yeller. I'm a watcher. My stomach tried to sprint. My hands stayed still. I open email. Her inbox is clean. Too clean. But the autosave folder is a tattletale. Drafts of pitches. My template file names. My naming conventions. Same dashes. Same versioning. You know how you hear your own voice on a recording and flinch? That, in a deck. With my logo swapped out and my pricing cut by 20% like a knife slid under a rib. Chef's kiss, if the chef were a pirate. One subject line freezes me solid. Dollar at 500K wired, green light the launch. I hear our mortgage talk from last week replay in my head. The way she smiled and said, we should tighten up a bit, just in case. Just in case what, Jenna? Just in case your stealth company needs runway? Love the fiscal responsibility arc. I click the deck. Comment bubbles along the margins use my exact phrases. Even my dumb little nudge this up 2 pixels note, because I'm that guy, now living in a pitch to my own client. I don't slam the lid. I don't call her. I do something worse. I start copying everything. Petty? No. Professional. The backup software I installed 3 years ago, the one she made fun of because who needs 5 copies, is still humming. It mirrors the drive to my secure archive. I open the sync tool, expand every folder, and let it drink. I take a photo of the screen on my phone, then another. Timestamps, hashes, file paths. I am not catching her. I am proving it. Boring beats dramatic every day that ends in Y. Emotions try to bargain. Maybe it's a misunderstanding. Maybe she helped me with a deck and forgot to tell me. Maybe my client reached out to her. Then I find a folder named her new LLC, same initials as my client tucked inside, and an investor name I pitched last spring. There's a screenshot of a wire. $500,000. My panic stands down. My planning stands up. Hi, planner. Welcome to the party. This isn't a side hustle. It's a competing firm built from my bones. I check the browser. Autofill coughs up logins. A Slack workspace I've never seen. A Notion page icon I recognize from a template I built. I'm not deep diving yet. I'm triaging. I drag what I can into an encrypted archive on my external drive. I start a log file. Date, time, action, file names, where found. I hear my own voice in my head, calm and irritating. If you're right, you'll need chain of custody. If you're wrong, you'll want to know why. Either way, write it down, hero. She texts me, running late, training call. Of course she is. I stare at the word training until it blurs, then I get petty with precision. I compare her contact list to mine. I cross-check my CRM. Same client names, different columns. She's built a pipeline that mirrors mine, like a shadow trying to outrun me. Cute trick. Shadows don't pass the sun. I pause at the fridge, stare into cold air like answers live next to the leftover pasta. Here's the rule. Do not confront without the goods. People trickle truth when cornered. I want the flood, not the trickle. Also, I hate laundry. Why would I want drip? I go back to the machine. Recycle bin? Overflowing with final _ files. There's a cap table draft with 3 angel names and 1 rival advisor who smiled at me across too many conference tables. There are NDAs addressed to my contractors. The signatures look off. I take screenshots. I don't accuse. I archive. Accusations age poorly. Screenshots don't. The stakes crystallize in a single line in my head. My business, our marriage, and possibly handcuffs if this spiral's stupid. I keep my face normal. When she comes home, I'm chopping onions. She kisses my shoulder, says something about a keynote rehearsal. I nod, my eyes
Sting, and not from the onions. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. She laughs at a text, pockets a second phone I've never seen, and calls it a work loaner. Sure. I say, cool. like a man who doesn't have her investor's routing number sitting on his desktop. The anger is there, hot and seductive. I put it on a leash. Anger burns evidence. Calm keeps receipts. And I'm a receipts guy now. I finish the mirror. I label the archive something so boring no one clicks it. Tax docs _ 2019. Then I close the laptop we used to stream movies on and whisper to an empty room, "This is theft, and I can prove it." The room whispered back, "Be boring." I decide two things before I sleep. 1, I won't confront her. I'll document her. 2, tomorrow, I start mapping her pipeline, her investors, and her launch date. If she wants a company built from my work, she's going to trip every wire I set on the way to cutting the ribbon. Balloons optional, the evidence mine. Morning hits like a memo I wrote to myself. Coffee, door locked, laptop open. I move like a lab tech, not a husband. Methodical. I start with the email archives because email never really deletes anything. It just hides and hopes. The sync app mirrored more than I realized. Local caches, offline folders, autosave drafts. Gold. The IT version of finding $20 in winter coat pockets. Her inbox looks curated. But the drafts folder? A landfill. I open a chain titled Deck V7. It's my architecture with her voice taped on top. She even kept the dead versions, which is beautiful for me. Autosave shows timestamps that don't lie. The night she said she was at training, the deck version jumped 3 times, each with my pricing sliced thinner. Documentation purrs. My inner accountant does jazz hands. I pivot to cloud links. The sync tool grabbed a neat little file called recent.hes.json. Inside are breadcrumbs, Notion, Google Drive, Slack export. Favicons are like tiny billboards for guilt. I click the Notion links. Some are dead outside the house, but the page previews cached. Titles like Go to Market, Client C, and Investor Questions, Objections Handling. The bullet points are familiar. My lines, softened and reworded, like I'm watching my own face wearing someone else's haircut. Nice cut. Still my face. Then I hit the folder named with her shiny new LLC, tucked under Operations. Inside is a treasure chest labeled VIPC View. That's my flagship client's initials again. There's a doc called Transition Plan If One. If One. One from whom, Jenna? It outlines a handoff of accounts, scopes, and onboarding tasks. My contractor names show up in a column titled Potential Hires. Next to each, a status, contacted, NDAs sent, waiting on signature. My jaw tightens. I open the NDAs. Because why cry when you can cross-reference? The signatures look like they were photocopied out of a ransom note. Fonts don't match. Letter spacing is off. One of my contractors has a nickname he never uses on paper, and somehow his signature includes it. I grab screen recordings this time, scrolling slowly, cursor hovering over the dates. File properties, modified by, created on. I narrate to my own laptop like a courtroom. These are forged. These were used to solicit my people. Keep moving. We are not arguing on vibes today. Financial folder next. A screenshot named Funds Received. I open it, and there it is again. The wire confirmation for $500,000. Different angle, different device. The memo line reads, Phase 1 Initiation. I backtrack to see where this money came from. A subfolder called Capital. There's a PDF term sheet from an investor I pitched last spring when I was still naive enough to think handshakes meant anything. I scroll. They included a clause about IP representations and warranties. She checked a box that says, "We own everything we're using." My heart does a slow, polite flip. Thank you for your overconfidence. Also, thank you for checking the box I needed. I start a master index. File names, hashes, locations. I copy the wire screenshots, the term sheet, the deck versions. I add a note. Chain of custody maintained via continuous mirror, C-log. My hands stop shaking. A machine clicks into place. Victim brain is on lunch break. Planner brain just clocked in. He brought a label maker. Timeline time. I open file histories on the pitch decks. When did the first copy of my assets appear? Q3. The slump quarter. The one where I was sleeping on the office couch, telling myself it would turn. She built her skeleton crew then. Calendar entries show co-working with map links to a building that sells artisanal coffee in hopes. The Slack export the sync tool dragged in is partial but loud. Channel names like Sales War Room, Ops Onboarding, and my favorite, Targets. In Targets, they listed my current clients with color codes. Green for poachable soon. My name lives in a thread titled Messaging Differences, where they compile what I say on sales calls and how. To reframe it cheaper, I taste copper. Also, a little espresso because apparently Betrayal pairs well with dark roast. Buried in admin/incoming is a spreadsheet titled Cap Table Draft. I open it. 3 angels, small checks, and a familiar name under Advisor Strategic. He's the rival who likes to pat my shoulder like he's blessing me.
He's getting equity to steer her ship with my compass. Cute. I grab copies, screen record, scroll slow. The camera loves details. So do auditors. There's a doc named Objections, Legal. It's basically a script for when someone asks awkward questions about IP. The answers are breezy. We built this from scratch. Founder's prior work was conceptual only. I flag it. Then I see an email thread where she sends NDAs to my contractors from a throwaway domain that looks like a typo of my company. She CCs a generic HR alias. The sign-offs are the same shaky fakes. I pull the mail headers. Full path. Source IP. Jot it down. Dear future court, enjoy this breadcrumb tray. Then the gift. A folder called Launch Plan Week. It lists the venue, AV schedule, keynote deck, investor attendee list, and a social calendar. The keynote draft includes a humble brag slide about winning our first enterprise client, my client. The logo is blurred, but the outline is unmistakable. They plan to unblur it live. That's not just arrogance, that's evidence on a platter. Thank you for catering. I find a text export sitting in an iTunes backup. Second phone, same Apple ID for a week before she switched. She texts the rival advisor. We can undercut by 20% and offer 90-day sprint. He'll cave or look slow. He replies, get the signatures. Investors need assurance you own the stack. She sends a thumbs up. My stomach goes quiet. Decisions get easier when people write their intentions down. Also, thank you for using words instead of smoke signals. I package everything. I create an encrypted archive separate from the mirror. Different drive, different label. I add an index with time-based notes. I start a running narrative. What I opened, why I opened it, what it showed, how I preserved it. If this goes to lawyers, I want the story to tell itself without me in the room, preferably while I'm eating something fried. Before I close, I check one more place. Cloud Trash. People forget Cloud Trash. Her drives bin holds early drafts of her LLC operating agreement. The dates line up with my worst week of Q3. There's a scanned sticky note that says, ask M about compliance across states. M is the rival advisor. Next to it, a scribble. Use his pricing tiers. Lower entry. My tiers. Lovely. At least take me to dinner first. I sit back. The rolling realization finishes rolling. This isn't messy. It's a business plan. It's my business plan. Ported, polished, and launched under a new banner with borrowed capital and forged paperwork. I don't slam anything. I breathe. Then I open a new note and write the next sentence I need to see. Find an ally who hates thieves more than she hates me. Spoiler, I know exactly who to call. The trickle truth at home. Dinner turned into a stage play I didn't audition for. I chopped, she stirred. We both pretended nothing was weird. She said, training ran long, like she was reporting the weather. I said, yeah, and let the silence do push-ups. She filled it. New platform rollout. Time zones are brutal. Time zones. Cute. The clock on her wrist didn't lie as well as she did. Quick gut check for you watching. If your partner comes home with time zones are brutal and a second phone, do you confront or document? Am I wrong here for choosing silence over fireworks? I kept it small. How's your team? She blinked, half-second pause, then smiled. Just me and a few temps. Temps. Right, the Slack channel said otherwise. I nodded like a bobblehead and tasted the sauce. Needed salt. Also honesty, but we were out. Her tells were normal person tells. New blazer tagged gift from a friend. A co-working keycard she called guest access. And the second phone that appeared, then disappeared, then came back with a protective case like it had tenure. I asked, loaner? She said, backup. She said it fast, like the word might escape if she didn't pin it down. Here's the thing about trickle truth. It makes time heavy. Everything slows down while you pretend to believe what you can prove is wrong. You study tone, cadence, the way someone holds a spoon when they're lying. I poured wine and kept my eyes soft. She relaxed into it. People do when you give them the easy version of you. She scrolled mid-bite and smiled. A quick, private smile. Thumb swiped. Phone flipped. Face down. Wrong number, she said, without me asking. I sipped. They're persistent, I said. She laughed too big for the joke. The second phone buzzed in her toad. She didn't hear it. I did. I made small talk my day job. How's the keynote rehearsal? She perked up. Good. Just tightening transitions. Transitions. Slide. 7. The humble brag. I nodded like I didn't know her AV run sheet better than she did. It felt like playing chess with someone who thinks knights move in straight lines. Real talk. What would you have done right here? Lay the receipts on the table or keep building the case? Am I wrong to treat my own marriage like an evidence log? That night, I cleaned the kitchen with the focus of a surgeon. She showered. The steam hummed. I opened the fridge and stared at a Tupperware container like it might confess. When she came out in a robe, she leaned on the island and said, "You're quiet." I said, "Deadlines." That word always works. She kissed me and went to bed. I dried the last plate and whispered to the sink, "We're fine." The sink didn't believe me either. I took inventory without moving anything. Her tote weighed heavier. Laptop charger, 2 notebooks, a pen I bought at a conference. One notebook had a bent corner.
You learn to see edges. I didn't touch it. I've got a rule now. Look, don't disturb. Let gravity keep your alibi. In the morning, she dressed sharper than usual. New shoes with the squeak of fresh ambition. Client breakfast, she said. I said, yours or mine? She blinked. Mine. I smiled like a supportive spouse meme. She left a coffee ring on the counter. I wiped it into a circle so perfect it could testify. I checked our calendar. The shared events were dusty. She'd moved to private invites. Fine. I tracked her by absence. The days she used to grocery shop now had calls. Her gym bag started living in the trunk. Her perfume shifted to, I'm presenting today. It wasn't the scent. It was the way she sprayed it. 2 taps, not 1. Confidence in aerosol form. The trickle kept trickling. At dinner with friends, she dropped my team, then corrected to the team. At home, she said, I might travel next month. Might. She avoided names. She never avoided names. The outline of omission looked bigger than anything she said aloud. I kept documenting. Time she left, time she returned. Training nights. Keynote, mornings. Not like a jealous husband, like a project manager. I marked each with what I could corroborate. File saves, deck versions, Slack timestamps. I charted her stories against her artifacts. The pattern drew itself. When she said onboarding, a Notion page went live within 30 minutes. When she said late call, autosave ticked at 11:12, 11:37, 12:03. One micro story stuck. She laughed in the hallway, head tilted, the way she used to with me. I stepped out, curious. She snapped the second phone dark and slid it into her robe pocket. Spam, she said, too quickly. Then softer. People are ridiculous. I wanted to ask which people. Instead, I said, yeah. Short words are safer when you're building a case. I made a quiet promise. I won't confront. I'll document. You confront a liar, you buy a drip. You document a thief, you own a flood. That became the rhythm. Smile. Note. Cross-check. I kept dinners normal, kisses normal, jokes normal. Anger wanted a scene. I gave it a spreadsheet. By the end of the week, I'd stopped hoping for an honest conversation. I didn't want one. I wanted proof heavy enough to dent a table. The pipeline, the investors, the launch. I'd find them, line them up, and let gravity do the rest. When she slept, I drafted a single line on a sticky note and slid it under my keyboard. Don't chase a confession. Build a conclusion. Digital detective mode.